So any of you have had a foraging experience in the wild? No? Wild? Because they grow a lot of stuff.
In the mountains.
Yeah, but in the wild, like.
Yeah, in the wild, yeah.
What did you
In the
forage?
Himalaya.
Then my mom had no fear and she would tell them, "Isko ghuma ke le aao," and I would hang around with the shepherds and go and eat bajra ka roti and pyaz. It used to taste wonderful. And then they used to tell me all about plants and everything. And my grandmother was a healer, like, in the sense that ghar mein healer, like in the sense that she would pluck something and heal people and all that stuff. So at that time I thought she was very uncool because she used to wear that chuda, ye wala, and then she used to from her odnis make thellies, like thela, and then she would walk everywhere, force me to walk. And I stayed with her and she said, "Ek hi sabzi banegi. And that too 6 baje se pehle khana padega." So I was like, "मैं ठीक है बाजार से कचौरी ले आऊंगी." So she's like, "तू कब तक लाएगी? यहाँ रहेगी तो यही खाएगी." So I was like, this is like completely. I went to a convent and I thought like she's completely like, this is like a very ancient way to live. And then I go to England and I realize, oh my God, whatever she did was like fashionable because it was intermittent fasting, it was recycling, sustainability. She never made a tamasha out of it. She fell sick when she was 86 and then we took her to the doctor and the doctor said, "Aap ghee khana band kar do." So she said, "Ghee pagal hai kya? Pehli baat to mujhe laye kyun yahan pe?" She had a ghee till the end of her life and died like in peace and she was 90. And every time, so whatever, also Marwadi, we spoke Marwadi, and Marwadi is not recognized as a language. So a lot of so I'm a botanist and a journalist, so my references are very oral. Then I check when they say, so my walk is mostly about how I grew up, the famine foods, and then, like how did I bring that, knowledge together, which is oral, and connect with the botanical botanical terms and everything. So once I went with these, shepherds, and they told me in this desert, imagine a tree which is laden with orange flowers. And I was like, I stopped there and I was like, kya hai ye? So they were like, ye roida hai. Roida is like our national tree and it has orange flowers. And so I said, "Arey wah, bahut sundar hai." So they told me that aado roop kahin kaam ro. Matlab, they said, is roop ka kya fayda ki koi dekhne wala nahi hai yahan par. So, most of the wisdom, we were discussing language yesterday, I think. And if you understand the anecdotes or the proverbs, you have a gist of that knowledge, in that area. And I'll talk about that in my walk also. So, yeah, so if you look at this land, it's called Marwar. Mar comes from the word mar. It's place of death, okay, where nothing grows. And the reason why nothing grows is a constant culture of kal or drought. So there are 3 types of kals. One is ankal, where there is no an, or like an would be bajra. Then jal kal, jal would be reservoirs, when the reservoirs turn dry. And tin kal, where there is no fodder. So that is all these 3 kinds of kal. And there's a constant struggle with kal. In fact, there's a saying that Marwar mein kiwad mate ubi kal. Kiwad is your darwaza. So the, Akal is always standing at your doorstep. And the Umaid Bhavan Palace is also a famine relief project. So, I asked, and my father said that his grandmother worked there. And I said, what did she get? He said, by the end of the day, she got like handful of grains because that was the whole. So in this situation where everything is difficult, and if you look globally, Thar Desert doesn't even feature in the top 10 deserts of the world. It is maybe 20th, but it is the most densely populated. So what happened? How did it become densely populated? Apart from that, we being Indians and we make more babies, but what else could have happened here?
People learn to deal better by surviving, by foraging and...
Yeah, so resilience. And when you say foraging, so plants. So, plants, if you look at this, this is an Oran. These are systems, okay? Oran is community land given, a land given to the community in the name of a deity. So there is no cutting allowed here, no pruning allowed. No pruning allowed here. You can forage. So if you see, that is the owner of this land. This land has been like this for centuries, and you might see, because they're desert plants and the whole idea is to reduce the surface area. You might see it's very scanty, but it has helped support life. And there are 26,000 Orans in Rajasthan today, and where some of them are diminishing, but like for example you won't see an electrical pole here. And if you see now, the biggest threat for the Great Indian Bustard comes from the electrical poles, because it's a small heavy bird. It flies, it gets entangled and then dies. So there is a new people are like environmentalists are working on that. So this is the history of this land. So the Orans have and if you look at the vegetation, 70% is not edible by human beings, but the cattle eats. So every house here would have a goat, or it would have a camel. And it is saying here that oot chode akro, bakri chode kakro. Akra is a poisonous tree. You know akra?
Yeah.
मैं आपको दिखाऊंगी अभी. So उसमें से latex निकलता है, which is poisonous. But the oot has that, and bakri chode kakro means bakri will only leave the pebbles. Bakri eats everything. It can stay without water for 100 days. So bakri, and that's why when I thought we will have just a vegetarian resort. So the guys told me that हम ऐसे रहते नहीं है मैडम. He was like हमारे यहाँ जैसे हम लोग तो, क्योंकि अगर आप 70% वेजिटेशन आपकी वो कैटल ही खा रहा है, तो कैटल आपका मेन फूड होगा.
And you waste nothing.
You waste nothing. So then I was like, okay fine, if that's the way. And also they are right in the terms of जब हम खाना बनाते हैं. So we use lot of even like souring agent is yogurt, like whether it is mas or anything, or kachri, which comes from the wild. So and also like lot of rab, so very highly dairy driven. So I thought, okay fine, that's how it is. And then meat was on the table. Okay, so now I'll talk about like some of the things that you had your thali yesterday, no? Okay, all right. So I'll tell you about the story of your thali, or the platter. And so I'm going to talk about some plants that are very significant. So we walk towards that. So this is like buani. It's locally called buani, and this is like the okay, another thing about desert is most of the plants spend their life as seeds. They are ephemerals. They'll only come out after the monsoon for 3 months, and then they will die. And seeds never die. The great thing about seeds is that, if they found seeds with the Egyptian mummies, and you can still grow them. So also they have a lot of adaptations, and the idea is to just reduce. So they're called zero phytes. Zero is like, phyte is plant and zero is dry. So they are like dry, and if you see very little surface area. This you must have seen, bui, the desert cotton. It grows wild. So yesterday the guys were telling me that it is also used for insulating the sheds of the cows in winter. Take it, put it on that. It takes care. It gets insulated and all. Is it the bell? Must be your camel's bell. And this, if you see these, you'll see a lot of these coral-like structures here. So imagine being a plant in the desert where nobody's watering you. You're standing like you can't move. You have to stand calm like, sun. It's only hottest. So whoever is coming is going to come. They know that they'll come to take something from you. So this is how they grow. They will grow like this. So if you want to eat from the sides. This protects the central taproot system and the shoots. So then, and when it has strength, then it rises. So if you see, there will be a lot of these formations here.
And the sacred grove is all of this around?
Yeah.
This whole area is that?
So you can't, the government can't take this land from them. I mean, if they become really vicious and all, they can still do it, like they're making the RA parking lot. But it will be a very, very strong thing with the community. Lot of temples, like there is a, lot of the local deities. जैसे हर जगह local deity होंगे. यहाँ पे भैरव जी और रामदेव जी हैं. There are all these very strong environmental stories around them. There is, if you go towards Kitchen, you will see that there is a Pabuji का मंदिर. Okay, so Pabuji was a guy. जब वो शादी कर रहे थे तो किसी कोई औरत ने कहा कि मेरे कोई गाय लेके जा रहे हैं. Like, so he got up from his wedding and then protected the cows. So there's a lot of culture of the people who would stay connected with the nature and protect each other. All the stories. So there is an inherent fear, like you can't touch the oran, which is good.
Yeah, you anger the gods.
Yeah, you anger the god. So religion was the first control mechanism we had. So
It was the first educational mechanism also.
this tree has saved the lives of people in Kal. So my mom used to say that this is a khejdi tree.
Khejdi.
Prosopis cinerea. This is our tree of life. So my mom said कि एक बार ऐसे काल पड़ा था, तब है ना लोगों ने इसकी छाल निकाल के इसका आटा बना के रोटी खा के जिंदा रखा था अपने आप को. It doesn't taste anything, and you would not connect it with nutrition. But this happened in the famines of 1899 and 1939 in Marwar. Not only that, there was this Central Arid Zone Research Institute. They did a survey on the saplings, and they saw that the root to shoot ratio here is 3:1. So all movement is going pura niche hai. Then Atharveda, the first sacred wire, it's called Sami in Sanskrit, not the Sami song that's going on. But so in Atharveda, they said the first sacred fire was lit by brushing the branches of Sami tree and one more religious tree from India. Which would that be?
No
idea.
idea.
Probably a ficus.
Ficus, yeah. Banyan tree says so the first five. Then when the Pandavas went incognito in Mahabharata, they put their shastras in the roots of the tree. And when they came back, they were Vijayi, and so they worshipped the tree. So it's a sacred tree of India. It's a very giving tree. It fixes nitrogen. And if you see, if you see the nature of this tree, the character, there'll be little nodes everywhere. There'll be little places for the birds to rest, for like some insects to be there. So it's just giving tree. So it produces the sangri bean.
Yeah.
So क्या
Sangar ki sabzi. Yeah.
So sangri is again a famine food, and now it has become like one of the main foods, which is like even COVID people said they survived. And sangri is mostly foraged. It comes from the wild. It is not like cultivated. I haven't seen it. So sangri का ये story है. And I was growing up. इनका जब sangri जब पक जाती है, it becomes yellow, and it's called khoka locally, and it is a fruit that I again shared with the shepherds. So
Is it a slow growing tree?
very slow growing. इसमें मतलब growth is very very slow in
And
desert
that's why it's
plant.
not cultivated to take years to give.
Yeah. So I put some sangri trees. I don't think so I'll see them as trees in my lifetime. So
It's like they say for kathil, जो बोता है वो खाता नहीं है. It takes about 15 years to
So
feed.
this is the good Prosopis.
it's a good Prosopis. So and this you see next to Prosopis, again a famine food. It is called keep. It is used for thatching, and also like I don't know, you can see some berries, but sorry, beans. These beans are cooked as subzi. It's a famine food. It becomes green and you made, so iski sabzi banti hai. And fodder also. And at time pe iski charpai banti thi. It has fiber. So the central tree is a tree which is called kankodi locally. It comes from the sage family.
Wow.
A lot of medicinal value. And around it, do you see this tree?
Yeah, this one's trying to
You
take
know
it over.
this tree? I'm
This is,
asking. Okay, so this, right? The bachas know?
the bad boy.
Oh yeah,
Talked about. Yeah, babul. So it is called, so they are from the same group in botany, Prosopis cinerea and Prosopis juliflora. But talk about two people completely different in a family. This is aggressive. It is locally called bavalia or the pagal. Like, because the way it grows, it's aggressive. It won't have a straight growth. It will, go all over. The worst thing it does, it makes the soil saline. So it will kill the other plants. Now, it was not here. Okay, so there was a famine, and King of Jodhpur, I think it was Umaid Singh at that time, he heard of this wonder beach from Mexico, and it was then sprayed all over in helicopter. And the British did similar exercise all across India, and that's why in Delhi there were very big problem with juliflora in the ridge. So people say, "Arey, kitna green hai," but this is like really bad. You cannot kill it. It has these falies. First of all, if you kill it, it'll highly regenerative, menacing. Then falies जो होती है ना, इसको फली अगर खाएगी गोट तो हर जगह जाएगी और बीज फटाफट उग जाएगा. इसकी ग्रोथ बहुत कम है, थोड़ा स्लो लाइफ वाला है, ये फटाफट उगता है, बट देन it causes a lot of destruction. Now I was talking to the village सरपंच की इसको हटाते हैं यहाँ से ओरन से सबको खा जाएगा. He's like मैडम ओरन को तो हम हाथ ही नहीं लगा सकते. तो मैंने कहा पर ये तो था नहीं ना ओरन में, ये ओरन का नहीं है. So then I sent them to the walk at Mehrangarh Fort. So Mehrangarh, Pradeep Krishan, you know. So Pradeep Krishan is a naturalist who's written a very wonderful book called The Trees of Delhi. So if you go to Lodi Garden, you can actually take his book and read and see the trees and the story and all. So he was in charge of conservation and they wanted to create a park. So Rao Jodha Park. And 2 years they just got tried to get rid of this first of all. And how did they get rid of it? Because they thought you can't use any explosives. क्योंकि और तो कोई तरीका नहीं इसको हटाने का. So they got these old miners called Khandwalias. They have a great skill of looking at the rhythm of the chhani and see that identifying how deep is the root. So ऐसे करके 2 years, over a 2-year process, you can do Rao Jodha Park and you can read the story of juliflora. So they removed it and then they fenced it. Till you fence it, you can't kill it because the goats will walk in. So and then they started growing others. So it's a very good botanical walk there also if you get time to see at Rao Jodha Park. Because earlier my guys were like कि पता नहीं क्या करती है यहाँ तो सिर्फ लोग मांगनियार करते हैं, एक नाइट का स्टे होता है and then she takes people here. अब जंगल में क्यों ले जाते हो मैडम आप, ये सब कुछ करके लग जाएगा किसी को. So I told them नहीं ये पौधे हैं, botany हैं. Then I sent them on that walk. So the naturalist told me they told him more than what he knew. But they understood that this can absorb poison. That's why it's called Neelkant. So Dhatura and Akada flowers are the ones.
So we have Dhatura, we have Akada and we have Bale, which are all the 3 Shiv.
Yeah.
Not for that reason, but
Not
we
for
just
that
have
reason,
everything because the botanical reason.
Have it.
See, this is Kankodi, the one that you just.
Lovely tree.
I have never seen it anywhere apart from here. Like in my limited life in Rajasthan, in the sense that area.
Just in this Oran.
Yeah.
We've got so many flowers, nice delicate flowers. It'll be very good. Oh, and again it's being monopolized by Prosopis.
Yeah. Prosopis everywhere.
So the Prosopis is monopolizing the Kankuri because it's using the
Shade.
nutrition, the shade and all as a sort of a...
It'll make the soil saline, no?
Yeah.
Then it can't because see nature uski hai dry ki. Saline soil is for halophytes, जो salty area में होता है.
I'll probably kill it off.
Of course, it'll kill it. Yeah.
How many trees are there? There's too much of that. Capparis is full of. Oh wow, it's full of.
The
Kair. It's good for the birds. That's a tall one and it's full. It's laden.
Oh, jebbles. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now the jebbles are beginning to come out.
Now they'll come out as the...
Oh, even here the Prosopis is taken. So every good tree has a Prosopis.
Yeah.
Sort of biting at its feet.
Oh, look at that set. I think it's what, 3 of them?
Yeah, 3 of those, but those don't have Prosopis. This one has a again Prosopis. And I don't see any Jal Pilu, Salvadora.
यहाँ पे नहीं है, ये ओरन में नहीं होता है, वो भी उगाना पड़ता है या फिर वो आपको कोटा साइड में मिलेगा. अच्छा ये जो पेड़ है ना, जो ऊपर वाला पेड़ है, कैर सुना आपने? कैर जो आपने अचार में भी खाया होगा यहाँ पर, और कल सब्जी में होके सांगरी की सब्जी में था. तो ये कैर का फल आता है, ये कम्स फ्रॉम द फैमिली, उसकी फैमिली, केपर्स की फैमिली.
इसी थीम का हमारा रूम है.
अच्छा हाँ कैर, हाँ. तो ये जो आपका जैसे रूम है ना, ये बन जाता है होली में. तो यहाँ पर एक कहावत है कि अकाल कहता है कि मैं 7 बार पढ़ूंगा, मतलब इस बार मैं 7 बार आऊँगा. एंड कैपारिस सेज कि मैं 7 बार फूलूंगा. तो एक कैपारिस के अंदर एक बहुत अच्छा मैकेनिज्म है. व्हेन इट सीज इट्स गोइंग टू लॉट ऑफ ड्रॉट, it realizes its existence is in trouble. Then what it does, it produces more flowering, so it leaves behind more seeds. And that's why when villagers see that the Capparis is flowering, they know that is saal akal padega.
Oh.
So it's an out and out survivor, the tree.
Yeah, this tree is
And capers. So these are the same capers.
Yeah, so we are now.
So highly
So my
edible.
friends came from. I told you my friend from Spain, and they said, why don't you cure them like olives? So you can taste the ones we have cured, and you can see. So I came here around Holi. It will be full of the orange. I'm just trying to see the blossoms.
Yeah, that must have looked lovely.
Yeah. And it is like reduces cholesterol, has selenium, magnesium, very good quality.
I think desert sort of
this is-
plants
You can see.
would have higher.
So that's why. So Hazara is like Hazar petals, and so Kesaria Bandara is like looking like a marigold flower.
This one.
No, Kesaria.
No,
I'm
for
talking
a
about
marigold.
I'm saying everything
But
is
every-
Kesaria here, the color,
So
orange.
Kesaria is sort of beauty.
Yeah. We have केसरिया blossoms. ये फूल के पास भी देखा होगा आपने, ये वाला. This is सोनामुखी.
Like imli ka patta.
Imli
I'm
ka
saying imli ka beej and imli ka patta because I've probably eaten everything imli, but it has that imli ke patte ka slightly khatta, very mildly.
So you know it is a
And
laxative.
astringent.
It's a laxative, but don't worry, this is not going to.
And it's astringent.
Yeah, everything here would be dry
Yeah.
and astringent. So my mom used to say कि जब सावन होता था ना तो मेरी नानी जो थी उनके बच्चों को सोनामुखी के पत्ते उबाल के पिलाती थी. Now सावन आयुर्वेद के हिसाब से is a time when your body has heat. Yeah, and this is a laxative, and it's called senna.
Okay.
Senna is a laxative. So पत्तों में जो है laxative action है. So then अगर आप सावन में पी रहे हो आपका body detox हो रहा है and that's like a great cure. So see, this place has so many things. I'll show you there also like other plants that are very potent medicine. Now what happens is जैसे ये dry करने ये बुआनी dry हो रही है. So अब इसका season खत्म हो गया है.
So
Now the
go off with the wind.
Yeah. अब मिर्ची भी यहाँ पर नहीं थी. आपको पता है मथाना की मिर्ची कैसा है यहाँ पर? So mirchi doesn't belong to India. It came from South America. We had pepper, and that's why people came to trade. So mirchi came from South America. The Bharangarh fort had mirchi seeds. I mean, they had a lot of bat poop. They sent it to Mathania, and they put mirchi on it, and mirchi became like this big hit. So look at, there are very weird practices in food. I believe in Indonesia there is this coffee which an animal eats. It comes out of
Kupi
the
luwak.
Lupa
Kupi luwak.
Yeah. So all these things are exotic, but that's how the story of mirchi. So Mathania mirchi and amchur. That's what you make pachkuta of. Now this is your Acacia Senegal, which is your kumtia. In 15th century, the Europeans would go. It would grow wild near the Senegal River, and they would go and get the resin out of it. The resin was premium. Yahan par, what I research is because this site was on the Silk Route. There was a lot of trading happening, and that's why the seed traveled. And here it doesn't produce resin. It produces these beans जिसके अंदर वो flat आप देख रहे होगे देखोगा कुमटिया होगा where there's the
It probably doesn't have as deep spreading.
Or it has not adapted. See, it has adapted. These corals are of kumtia only. It has adapted that it has to protect itself,
Right.
but not the root still is not going deep. So maybe one day it will. We all need time to grow.
But at least it's from outside but not invasive.
It's not invasive. No. तामझाम के साथ आया था. It was declared the wonder seed. Bavalia became the national tree और उस तरह से बहुत कुछ हुआ था.
This is in the 1940s.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that's happening all over Munnar and all, because for the coffee and the tea and the cardamom roasting, they thought it was quick growing timber, and now it's taken over their forest.
जिसमें holes होते थे. So light जाए ना जाए, and then when the warm loo hits this water curtain, the house used to be so cool and fragrant.
So like khas.
खसका, हाँ, इसकी जो है ना उसमें branches में smell है. So it would be like that. Also, like if you see, our hedge is made up of this. So when I was making this place, and as a journalist, I realized wherever I covered conflict, the reason was somebody went into the community, made a very strong wall, and put guards around it. That gesture, brought that conflict.
Right.
That someone from outside has come in, it is very opaque, and it is power, it is abuse, and we can't handle it. So I thought if I do a wall, it's going to annoy the something will happen. So I actually went to them and I said कि देखो मुझे ये बनाना है. Then they were like पानी कहाँ से? मैंने कहा पानी वाले पौधे ला ही नहीं रही हूँ, लगा नहीं रही हूँ. Then they were like अच्छा फिर मैंने कहा मुझे बस बाड़ करनी है, it's called बाड़. तो आप बताओ कैसे करेंगे? तो कहा हम बना देते हैं, पाई की झाड़ियों से उन्होंने ही बनाई है.
Oh, lovely.
So it is transparent. They see what is going on. And sometimes if you wander in the village and आप रास्ता भूल जाओगे, any villager will ask you आप बैठिए चाय पीजिए, they'll call us up and say आपके गैस पटक गए, इनको ले जाओ या. So I think keeping things transparent, you should, if you're coming in a community, I think just integrating with it always works. Like so, it's
Like a polite guest.
Yeah. Like a polite guest. कि नहीं लगा अभी तक? नहीं लगा?
जूते में लगा है सिर्फ थोड़ा सा.
So इसका भी मैंने यहाँ पे एग्जिबिट्स हैं, बट ये आपको लगेगा बहुत कभी ना कभी लगेगा आपके स्टे पे. ये देखो, ठीक है. सो इट्स कॉल्ड सेनक्रस बाइफ्लोरस. इसके अंदर दिस इज अ फैमिन फूड. सो देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ इसके अंदर एक काला सीड होता है विच इज़ हाईली न्यूट्रिशियस. So लोगों ने तोड़ के उसको कूट के आटे में मिक्स करके बच्चों को खिला के उनको जिंदा रखा है. So now what you think is highly invasive has a lot of value. Same thing happened in Sudan. They make a bread out of it called kisre, जिसके अंदर they still put the seeds. So this is very significant. But
What's it called again?
Cenchrus biflorus.
It's from Africa.
It's from Africa. I mean, there are a lot of similarities. I don't know whether it's come from Africa, it's gone to Africa. And this is again रोई जो जैसल अगर आप ये देखोगे ये ऐसी जो लंबी सी ग्रास है ना, it's called सेवन. तो जैसलमेर में कहते हैं कि जैसलमेर का दूध पीला होता है. Because the cattle graze on seven. It's very, very good grass. But now with the canal coming in, they are putting more like mungfali and til and all. So seven is disappearing from there. Then there is another one which is like this. It is called burundo. Another grass, but it is very fragrant. जब rains में ना इसकी जड़ों में से भीगती है तो उसकी खुशबू आती है. So it's very, very nice. This one. So in Rajasthan mein, or I think other fragrant plants also, there will be a time when the fragrance will come. There will be a season when the fragrance will come. I guess you have to wait for the good things. So that's the thing. So ये folk का रहता है. इसका folk is almost gone from desert landscape. It used to be all over. But it's called Caligonum polygonites, botanically. And unopened buds of this you can make raita, and it is cooling, it is nutritious. But the reason it got removed from the whole landscape is because it doesn't have kata. Okay, yeah, so if you can't show your teeth, then sometimes people walk over you. Secondly, it burns very quickly, so the blacksmiths love it. तो उनको उसने खत्म कर दिया. बड़ी मुश्किल से I got some sourced from Falodi. They're doing very well, and so that's why we put it on the menu also too. So अभी तो flowers ही लग रहे हैं, but they're very like a sour kind of. So
it's like कचनार की फली का रायता और.
Yeah. So there was a guy called Roy Moxham, and in 90s he was in a bookstore in London, in Notting Hill, and then he was going through some books, and he came across a book called the Memoirs of a British Civil Servant who lived in India. And he read it and he realized that the British made a hedge that ran of vegetation that ran for 14,000 kilometers, was manned by 4,000 people, and divided India into two parts. Okay, and it was made up of all the thorny karonda पता है आपको? एक लाल रंग का खट्टा सा फ्रूट होता है, तो वो है. इसकी मतलब सब्जी बनती है, मिर्ची के साथ भी बनती है. आई थिंक गुजरात और राजस्थान में काफ़ी होता है. बट इसकी तो बहुत थॉर्न्स होते हैं और काफ़ी स्टर्डी थॉर्न्स है, आप तोड़ नहीं सकते. सो इसका दिस देन अकेशिया एंड ऑल दैट. सो दिस वेजिटेशन वाज मेड अप ऑफ हाईली सारे जो thorny bushes थे.
Was the big tax?
So salt people it was heavily taxed. Yeah. The salt was coming from the western side, the coastal areas,
Gujarat,
to prevent the smuggling of salt, because Indian people could not afford to have salt. So that's why they made this line. Wow. It was abandoned in 1879 when they discovered actually we can tax at source. Yes.
Okay. They didn't figure that one out.
So this guy was like, then he realized, he thought it's going to be like a British eccentric exercise, but was an exercise in British oppression, that Indian people could not have salt, and that led to the salt march. So this is how this plant is part. When we think of plants, but plants have started revolts, they have had espionages, and also this is one plant, and nobody knows about the Great Indian Hedge commonly.
I mean, we came under the British because originally spice root.
Yeah,
so that's plant too.
Now we don't fight over plants, do we? No, we don't. Everything's so freely available.
Fight over plants because you need land to grow the plants.
It does very well in Rajasthan, so Nimbu is here. Then these are like bigger bears, jo khate ho na bear, wo hai wo wala. Now my question to you is, and the last question, okay, because you're not doing very good with it, is...
You're not used to UPSC rounds.
So like this, okay, you see this land, I planted here also, okay. What difference you see in the land? Planted specific grasses here, so they were all planted like this, okay. So, but then they have become more dense,
more wild, and
this is like has stayed the way it is.
Yes.
Why would this happen like this?
Because
or how did this happen?
You planted this. I mean,
I planted the thor. Okay, I didn't plant the rest. ये करके छोड़
They've
दिया.
created it and left it.
They left it. Now they've gone there. इस साल क्योंकि बेल ज़्यादा हुए, they shifted there, and they've shifted in some isolated area.
So, like
So they want open space and they want to
Yeah,
vegetate
but see,
it.
I have not put a no entry sign here.
I know, but they're not interested.
They're not
getting
interested.
anything.
They're not interested in these
Maybe
plants.
when the bears fall and all.
No, they're not
Even
interested.
then.
They don't know these plants.
So they like the Thor.
They're
They
used
only,
to.
so the whole 3:1 ratio is only possible because the gerbils go down, make these deep complicated furrows, and then the roots go down. They don't understand this. You're putting water in it and termite ka coach, and it is difficult to maintain this.
Also, I guess they are like me. I don't eat most of the mushrooms because it may be poisonous. So things they recognize, they're
Yeah,
comfortable
so they're
with.
comfortable with it. You will not see rats anywhere apart from this area और जहाँ पे वो है. They don't go anywhere. उनको कोई मतलब यहाँ थोड़ी किसी ने मना किया है, यहाँ पे बना लो बीच में या वहाँ पे बना लो, कोई आपको यहाँ पे दिखेगा नहीं उनका बिल.
So the Thor has a moistening and a
Thor
cooling
or any
influence
kind
in
of like
under
these
the
grasses.
underground. It's moistening and cooling.
Yeah.